Here's a practical exercise for you. Take your course, write down the before state, where your ideal student is right now, including the emotional component. Here's something that most course creators get wrong. They think content is king. They focus all their energy on creating amazing lessons, recording great videos, writing brilliant explanations, and then they're confused when students don't finish their course. The truth is, structure is king. Content is just the material you're working with. But structure, the way you organize that content, the way you sequence it, the way you break it down, that's what determines whether students actually complete your course or drop out halfway through. Think about it this way. Imagine you're building a house. The materials matter. You want good quality wood, good quality brick. But if you don't have a blueprint, if you don't have a clear architectural plan, you're going to end up with a mess. The same is true with courses. Random content creates overwhelm. Strategic structure creates momentum. The data backs this up. Self-paced courses without any structure typically have completion rates around 10 to 15%. But courses with cohort-based structures, community support and clear progression, those hit 70 to 90% completion rates. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between a failed course and a thriving one. And a huge part of that difference comes down to how the course is structured. So let's talk about what actually works. There are 3 proven course structures that consistently deliver results. Understanding these structures and knowing which one fits your course is the first step to building something that students actually complete. But if you don't have a blueprint, if you don't have a clear architectural plan, you're going to end up with a mess. The same is true with courses. Random content creates overwhelm. Strategic structure creates momentum. The first structure is the problem-solution framework. This is exactly what it sounds like. You start by identifying a specific problem your students are facing. You spend time really understanding that problem, what it feels like, why it matters, what's at stake. Then you systematically walk them through a solution. You break down the solution into logical steps, each one building on the previous one until they've solved the problem. This structure works incredibly well for courses that are teaching a specific skill or methodology. Let's say you're teaching someone how to launch a product. You start with the problem. You have a great idea, but you have no idea how to actually get it to market. You're overwhelmed by all the steps, and you're terrified of wasting time and money. Then you walk them through the solution: market research, product development, go-to-market strategy, launch execution. Each module solves a piece of the bigger problem. The beauty of the problem-solution structure is that it's inherently motivating. Students know exactly why they're learning each thing. They understand how it connects to solving their problem. There's no sense of random information being thrown at them. The second structure is the skill-building framework. This is different from problem-solution because it's not about solving one specific problem. It's about progressively building a skill from beginner to advanced. Think of it like learning to play guitar. You don't start by trying to play a full song. You start with basic finger placement. Then you learn simple chords. Then you learn how to transition between chords. Then you learn strumming patterns. Then you learn how to put it all together. Each lesson builds on the previous one, and each one teaches you a specific skill that you need for the next level. This structure works great for courses on technical skills, creative skills, or any skill that has a natural progression from beginner to advanced. The key is that each module teaches one specific skill, and students practice that skill before moving to the next one. The beauty of the problem-solution structure is that it's inherently motivating. Students know exactly why they're learning each thing. They understand how it connects to solving their problem. There's no sense of random information being thrown at them. The third structure is the transformation journey. This is the most powerful structure, but it's also the most complex to execute well. With a transformation journey, you're taking students on an emotional and practical journey from where they are now to where they want to be. This structure combines elements of both problem solution and skill building, but it adds something more. It's about identity transformation. You're not just teaching them skills or solving a problem. You're helping them become a different version of themselves. For example, a course on From Employee to Entrepreneur isn't just teaching business skills. It's helping someone transform their identity from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. It's about mindset shifts, skill development, and practical execution all woven together into a journey. The transformation journey structure is incredibly powerful because it taps into something deeper than just learning. It taps into people's desire to become someone new. but it requires careful sequencing and emotional resonance throughout the course. Now, here's a critical question. How many modules should your course have? This is where a lot of creators get it wrong. They either create too many modules which overwhelm students, or too few which doesn't give enough structure. If you have fewer than 3 modules, you don't have enough structure. Students feel like they're just getting a dump of information. There's no clear progression. There's no sense of moving through stages. It feels overwhelming. If you have more than 7 modules, you create decision fatigue. Students start to feel like there's too much to do. They lose momentum. They start dropping out because the course feels endless. 3 to 7 modules is the Goldilocks zone. It's enough structure to create clear progression and momentum. It's not so much that it feels overwhelming, and it's specific enough that each module can have a clear purpose and outcome. Now, how do you decide where to break your course into modules? The answer is logical progression. Each module should represent a clear stage in the journey. Each module should build on the previous one. And each module should have a clear outcome. Something the student can do or understand after completing it that they couldn't do before. If you have fewer than 3 modules, you don't have enough structure. Students feel like they're just getting a dump of information. Let's say you're creating a course on freelance writing. You might structure it like this. Module 1. Finding your niche and building your foundation. Students identify what they want to write about and create a basic portfolio. Module 2. Landing your first clients. Students learn how to pitch, negotiate, and close their first gigs. Module 3. Scaling your income. Students learn how to raise their rates, take on bigger projects, and build recurring revenue. That's 3 modules. Each one is a clear stage. Each one builds on the previous one. Each one has a specific outcome, and students can see the progression from where they are to where they want to be. Now, let's talk about something that's going to dramatically improve your completion rates. It's called the chunking principle, and it's one of the most powerful tools in instructional design. Here's the basic idea. Your brain can only process so much information at once. When you overwhelm it with too much information, it shuts down. Students feel overwhelmed, they get confused, and they drop out. But when you break information into smaller, manageable chunks, something magical happens. Students can process it, they understand it, they retain it, and they stay engaged. The research on this is clear. Chunking reduces cognitive load, the mental effort required to process information. When you reduce cognitive load, students can focus on actually learning instead of just trying to keep up. And when students can actually learn, they stay in the course. Here's what's interesting. Courses that effectively use the chunking principle see completion rate improvements of around 40%. That's huge. That's the difference between a 50% completion rate and a 70% completion rate, all from better organizing your content. So how do you actually implement chunking? It's simpler than you think. First, break each module into lessons. Each lesson should cover one specific concept or skill, not multiple concepts. 1. This gives students a clear learning target for each lesson. Second, keep each lesson short. Ideally, video lessons should be between 5 and 15 minutes. If you're going longer than that, you're probably trying to cover too much in one lesson. Break it into 2 lessons. Third, each lesson should have a clear structure. Start with why this matters. Teach the concept or skill, show an example. Give students a chance to practice. Then summarize what they learned. This structure helps students process the information and retain it. Fourth, use multiple formats. Don't just do video. Mix in text, worksheets, quizzes, exercises, discussions. Different people learn in different ways. When you use multiple formats, you reach more students, and you keep them engaged. Fifth, create clear transitions between lessons and modules. Help students understand how each lesson connects to the bigger picture. Help them see the progression. This creates momentum and keeps them motivated. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're teaching a module on email marketing. You could structure it like this. Lesson 1. Why email marketing matters. 5-minute video explaining the importance of email, followed by a worksheet where students identify their email marketing goals. Lesson 2. Building your email list. 8-minute video on list building strategies, followed by a checklist of tactics they can implement. Lesson 3. Writing emails that convert. 10-minute video on copywriting principles, followed by a template they can use. Lesson 4. Analyzing your results. 7-minute video on metrics and analytics, followed by a worksheet to track their own metrics. Lesson 5. Putting it all together. A case study showing how all these pieces work together, followed by an assignment where they create their first email campaign. Notice what's happening here. Each lesson is short. Each lesson covers one specific concept. Each lesson has a clear outcome, and together, they build a complete skill. Students don't feel overwhelmed. They feel like they're making progress, and they're much more likely to complete the course. Now, let's talk about creating logical progression that builds momentum. This is where a lot of courses fall apart. The content is good, but it doesn't flow. It doesn't build. Students don't feel like they're moving forward. Logical progression means each lesson and each module builds on what came before. It means you're not jumping around. It means students can see how everything connects. Here's how to create logical progression. First, start with foundational concepts. Before you teach advanced strategies, make sure students understand the basics. If you're teaching marketing, don't start with advanced analytics. Start with the fundamentals of how marketing works. Second, move from theory to practice. First, teach students the concept, then show them how to apply it, then have them apply it themselves. Third, increase complexity gradually. Don't jump from beginner to advanced. Move through intermediate steps. Each step should feel like a natural progression from the previous one. Fourth, use real examples and case studies. Show students how the concepts work in the real world. This helps them understand why they're learning something and how they'll use it. Fifth, create checkpoints where students can assess their progress. This helps them see that they're moving forward. It builds momentum. Here's what's important to understand. Structure isn't boring. Structure isn't limiting. Structure is liberating. When students know where they are in the course, when they understand how each lesson connects to the bigger picture, when they can see their progress, they stay engaged. They complete the course. They get results. The courses that are winning right now aren't the ones with the most content. They're the ones with the best structure. They're the ones that take students on a clear journey from where they are to where they want to be. They're the ones that break complex information into manageable chunks. They're the ones that create momentum through logical progression. That's the difference between a course that fails and a course that thrives. It all starts with architecture.